Welcome to Charged Up Studio Live, where small business owners get charged up for success. Are you a small business owner? Do you find yourself struggling through the many responsibilities that come with the title entrepreneur? Well, we're here for you. Charged Up Studio is hosted by Market Atomy LLC, your prescription for what we call OPA. What is OPA? It's when you become so overwhelmed with the confusion that comes with business ownership that you become paralyzed and ultimately avoid doing anything in hopes it will take care of itself, or you put it off till later. Does that sound familiar? I'm your host, Dan Olivo, and each week we bring a business professional eager to charge you up as they talk about the many things that keep you from moving forward with your small business. So are you ready to get charged up for success? Let's hit it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Charged Up Studio, where small business owners get charged up for success. We've been hearing about the next recession for several months now. Debates continue among economists as to whether it will be mild or not, whether we are currently in the midst of it or is it still to come. As small business owners, recessions can have a detrimental impact, oftentimes leading to catastrophic results. So the latest index coming out of the U.S. Chamber of Small Business states that inflation remains a top concern for small businesses. Not only does inflation add stress to an already tight cash flow status, but it impacts small and medium businesses' ability to be competitive within the marketplace. Today's guest is known as the Money Maestro, celebrated by audiences nationwide as a thoughtful, engaging, and generous teacher. Bestselling author Kris Miller speaks about financial freedom, second chances, and how to thrive in an uncertain economy. On stage, she conveys her rare devotion for informing and providing essential information that is often hidden from the general public. She calls out the errors in perception, exposing misleading data, and leads the way with integrity to greater wealth, healthy money practices, and happy and fulfilled lives. So let's all give a hearty, charged up studio welcome to Ms. Kris Miller with happymoneyhappylife.com. Welcome, Kris.
Thank you. We're charged up for sure.
We're charged up. That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Well, as I indicated before, we're going to handle this just like good girlfriends, just talking. Okay.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I am eager to learn your wealth of information, especially when it comes to, protecting our businesses, protecting our personal lives, especially with this recession coming through. And I have no doubt that we will feel the recession. Whether it's going to be mild or heavy, I don't know. But the fact that it's coming off the backs of two other difficult economic periods, chances are we're going to feel it more than we normally would. Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree. And I think and I'm an optimist, but what I'm seeing come in is scary. Okay. And scary if you're not prepared. And it's not that I am so smart, because I've just done this for 32 years. I've seen over 6,000 portfolios, and I stopped counting after that. And so what I learned was learning how to be prepared and have my money safe. So I'm proud to say no one on my watch has ever lost a dime, with over 6,000 clients in any market risk. But this started way back for me in the 90s, 91, 92. When I got started, I'm a paralegal. I do estate planning, living trust. And then when I started seeing people coming in my office, they would come in and don't feel there's no judgment for this, but they'd come into my office and they'd start their retirement plan at 50, 60, 70, 90. Seriously. Like, what is going on here? Dana, I was like, what? And I realized, oh, you go to school, you learn how to make money, you get out of school, and then you go make money, and then you give to somebody else too. Gamble. So it's like a roulette wheel. Will it be up or down when I retire? I hated that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now with what's happened with COVID, and since the beginning of COVID, we don't even have those jobs a lot of times to rely on. It's
That's
only
right.
on us. Okay, so therefore,
Right.
what we're seeing is we're seeing more and more people taking charge of their own financial, I don't want to say success, I want to say their financial outlook. Okay,
Right.
they're
Right.
starting to take more, but they're starting to realize that I can't rely on my job. I can't rely on my 401k. I can't rely on any of these tools that we've had in the past without thinking about, okay, how am I going to make it through my retirement?
Exactly. And that's my specialty because I've done it so long. And it's a whole other kind of a planning, because what we were taught or what we know is like, you put your money in the stock market, and now it's about getting what you have safe. So there's certain things that people need to be aware of. Your 401k and your IRA are big tax bombs. They're going to come
Yeah.
out at ordinary income. We're living longer. You're going to be forced to take it out at 72 and pay taxes. We're at the lowest tax, basically, we've ever been in this country right now. But guess what? There's all kinds of taxes coming to us. Besides inflation, when you go to, fill up the tank of gas, right? Those kinds of things. We're going to see it too, coming down the pike here and everything. So what I've learned about is the safe money strategies of basically how to put a bottom on your 401k or your IRA. And there's different programs that I actually own what I sell. I don't do anything else. I can't say, hey, you got to buy this stock, but I don't want it. I can't do that. I look you in the eyes and I tell you, this is what I've got. I've had it for 3 decades. So I've been
Yeah.
through a few recessions and want to take the income. So there's several levels that we can go down, and, we'll elaborate other times, right? But there's levels of what you have. You've got to get it protected. And learn about safe money, learn about places where you can catch the growth of the market without risk, without any market risk, and create income you'll never outlive. Imagine getting a paycheck every month instead of sitting on the edge of your seat watching the news and watching your money go bye-bye, right?
Well, speaking of protection and protecting your money, and the tax benefits that you can take advantage of, okay, there's so many things that have happened over the last 3-4 years,
Right.
and longer, okay, that have skewed the thinking, the financial thinking, the financial processing, all of that has skewed it. One being, okay, cryptocurrency,
Right.
and the digital
Right.
chain,
Right.
blockchain. Okay,
Right.
that's one thing. Another is the fact that COVID and what's happened with COVID, and people are starting to realize that they don't have to live above their means. They can scale down and be
Right.
happy. Okay. There's so many things that have happened that like I said, it skews our way of doing things anymore. One
Right.
of the things that I wanted to focus on, and I don't know how much you have experience in this, is as small business owners, all right, once we start getting to a point where we are making some revenue, and what are the tax benefits of setting up a 401k or an IRA or whatever, okay, to take advantage of those tax benefits through the business.
Right, right. Well, that's a great question. And there are some, the standard way of the way that people set up their IRAs and their 401ks is based on the old model. The old model was risk. You've got to risk your money to make money. And there are programs out there that can be set up for small businesses that are actually tax free. And honestly, it's like a little known secret that the 1% know about. Why are they the only ones to know about? Because nobody's talking about it.
Right.
It's right. I would make more money selling stocks, just holding your account, than all the things that I talk about. So to me, I would prefer integrity. So there are great programs that you can set up for your small business that can mitigate those taxes and the risk of the up and down of the market. Even as an individuals inside of it, there's ways that you could actually take qualified money that you already have and roll it into some of these programs where, like, they have investable life insurance, index universal life, where they can use an accelerated death benefit to pay the taxes, right? So that your full amount of money will be invested. Just say, I'll use 100,000 because it's just simple. And if you say that 100,000, right, if you're in the 40% tax bracket, is really worth 60, more or less, right? Okay. So, and people don't think of that when they think of their planning in the future, you got to see all that. Okay, so now you've got 60,000, but imagine if you could take that whole 100,000, roll it into a tax-free account, pay the taxes with the death benefit, and then create income that you will never outlive that's tax-free. But wait, there's more. The more is catastrophic illness. Now, we just learned about that, right? The pandemic. With these kind of programs, they have long-term care in them. So you can take 2% of the death benefit, the money comes out tax-free, manage your own care in your own home and not go to a nursing home, which is the way to go. And that's what I teach a lot of my high-end clients to do. But you don't have to be high-end to do this, just saying. It does require health. Right.
Yeah. And I recently went through this with my mom, determining, do we put her into a nursing home or do we, keep her home, and take care of her, with us. And at the time, she didn't have any kind of, program or anything like that. So she had Medicaid, Medicare, and that was it.
Right.
Medicaid or Medicare, whatever. That's all she had.
Yeah.
And so therefore, to put her into a good facility, okay, not one that's Medicare paid for completely. We had to subsidize what the payment was, and she ended up dying a week before COVID kicked in.
Wow.
So, it was a blessing in disguise. I wouldn't be surprised if she had COVID. And that just aggravated it. But anyway, where I'm going with this is what we went through with my mother was the fact that, there's so many things, like you said, that can be planned early on and not waiting until you're 70, 80, 90 years old to try and put these plans in place.
Exactly.
The same thing goes for your business. It doesn't cost a lot to set up a 401k or anything like that, or and take advantage of the tax write-offs and their benefits that you can offer your employees.
Right. There's that long-term care protection. That is like something that nobody talks about. And you pinned kind of like the nightmare of my business was my own family. It's it's hard. It was only because my mommy came up to me with a piece of paper and she said, "Honey, can you share this with your clients?" And she's tears in her eyes. But she had cancer. And her first round of cancer for 5 days was $90,000. So my dad was old school, born in 1919, a genius, trained by Einstein, literally, but he did not want long-term care. I'm not, I'm never going to a nursing home, real stubborn, right? So they didn't get long-term care. Thank
Yeah.
God they had enough money. But the point
Yeah.
was that they went through millions of dollars. So people that
Yeah.
think, oh, I have $1 million, I'll self-insure. That is not going to be enough for what really
No.
happens to people. She had cancer for 10 years. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
point is catastrophic. And now it used to be when you become people over 65, it's 7 out of 10 people end up in a nursing home. Before the pandemic, right? 1 out of 5 under 50 will end up in one. But that's all changed. Those numbers are way up, and I haven't gotten the
Right.
newest
Yeah.
thing, right? But
Yeah.
it is
The baby boomer
Mhm.
industry has opened
Exactly
up the age demographics to where's now the majority of the spenders, the people who can do things, are your baby boomers, like myself. I
right,
just turned 66 this year,
right. Happy birthday.
66 in June. So I'm
Okay,
66 and a half now.
okay.
But,
Well, I'm same age. I'm the same
yep,
age. Mhm.
yep. So, it's like, yeah, there's so many things, and we, meaning I'm saying those of us who don't pay a lot of attention to, I let my husband take care of them.
Right,
But when it comes to business now, because I run our business, I'm always looking for those tax write-offs, those ways of saving money, especially when you are a small business starting out, in the first 5 to 10 years that you're in business. How
right,
can you take advantage of those tax savings?
right.
That's going
And
to
there
go
are
right back into your revenue. Yeah.
exactly. And there really are some. It takes a deep dive. It takes having a
Yeah.
conversation because it's so unique. But by having this conversation to bring it to people's mind, what I found, were 3 things that people miss. For my book, I say 3 secrets for safe money and fabulous future.
Right.
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 It's not secret. We're talking about it now. Okay. So we're talking about, so one is the catastrophic illness. And honestly, after 30 years, I saw more people lose their money before
Yeah.
they died, either in a
Yeah.
nursing home, probate, or the Great Recession. Those are the
Yeah.
3 things that people need to focus on. They need to wrap around the catastrophic illness, and that can be built into, you actually get, more affordable kind of plans inside of those things. You could build plans that aren't like, a lot of the standalone long-term care is like car insurance where you're paying like a
Right.
lower
Right.
fee, but it's just money out the door. Where
Yeah.
now they have hybrid life insurance where you can leverage the death benefit. So all those premiums, hey, if you don't use the long-term care, you're building cash you can use for yourself while you're alive, and a death benefit for your family. So
Right.
that's the way to
Right.
build the estate. That's the catastrophic component of it. Then you have the market risk, right? Where
Right.
everybody's 401k and IRA is all in the stock market. And from
Right.
what I hear from the geniuses that study these things, and that nothing, you know, just to keep it simple, a lot of people think it's going down another 25-30%. You can't
I wouldn't be surprised.
print
Yeah.
money and do all these things that they're doing without, there's no accountability to all the money,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera. So that's
Yeah.
inevitable with what's
Yeah.
happening globally, right? Pending war,
Right.
blah, 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 blah. So
Right.
people got to be prepared. Just like, it shocks me too, Dana, is that when people come, when I chat and have a, financial fitness strategy with them,
Hmm.
most people, like I had a client, he had $44 million in real estate and only a few $100,000 in cash, right? Didn't have a living trust, didn't have the right
Oh,
paperwork,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And so people don't have rainy day money. And maybe they have a lot of money. Maybe they don't have a
Yeah.
lot of, I don't care how much money you have, but you need
They
maybe
don't
the
have any free cash. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
basic components that you need to have as a foundation where you have the money safe, you have the catastrophic illness protected, and you have the money, the right paperwork too. So key man insurance, key employee, all of those things. You just have
Yeah.
all of those
And,
things,
and,
all of them.
and even a succession plan,
Oh,
having
totally,
that succession plan in place. So,
totally.
so tell me this, okay? Well, we're talking about 401ks, and the non-self-directed 401ks that you're forced to choose between stocks,
Right.
okay, through your
Yeah.
company and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And now we know what's happening with the stock market. And
Right.
what can people do to kind of diversify
Good.
their retirement accounts so that
Very
it's
good.
not all dependent on the stock market? For instance, my husband and I, we've got the 401k that's through, he works for a very large DoD company, so he's got his 401k there, but he has a retirement, or I can't remember what it's called, from an old company he has that he still gets paid on every month. I have my 401k that we took out when I left my job many years ago, and we took that and invested in real estate.
Okay.
So we took that, and rather than invest in the real estate, we invested with a contractor, a developer, okay, to fund his building costs. We get a large percentage return on it every year, and it just keeps rolling over. We just keep rolling it over. How can people who are stuck with a non-self-directed IRA or 401k through their companies, how can they diversify and break it apart? Can they do that?
Absolutely, and that's a really good question. So if you're stuck in that situation, and if the
Yeah,
company matches you, say they're going to give you 4%,
right.
then you put in 4%. But say you have maybe 10% extra that you could, and you really should be putting 15 and 20% away for
Mm-hmm.
your fabulous future. Okay.
Right.
So you go for the match, right? You pay attention to the account. Most people don't do that even inside of their 401k. Pay attention to where your money's being invested. They're not like sitting there watching your money and calling you, whoa, the market's going down now. They're not very proactive.
No,
You have
no.
to be proactive and pay attention to where your money is in the 401k. Then say, hey, you've got another 6% or whatever it is to invest. And depending on your age and your health and your wealth, there are some very, like what I was talking about, the index universal life. These companies are like 150 years old. They've gone through the Great Depression. They've gone through all of these, and they invest for the long haul. They're looking at 20, 30-year options. So, people can make 5 to 9% with no market risk. So the idea is putting it in funds where you don't lose your principal. The equity index annuity is another one that's not underwritten, that you can fund and set up for yourself. Right now, as I talk, at this time, the number one A plus companies are like 10 to 15% tax deferred. So you're making the money, say, you put your 100,000 in it and it goes up 2% and the market goes down 2%, nothing happens. You just catch the upside. No downside risk. And you don't get a 1099 on that growth. So a lot of people are going to work past their retirement. Maybe they got Social Security, and that's going to be docked. They're going to dock $1 out of every $3, right, and all of that. That's a whole nother conversation. But the point for the people that are stuck in that scenario, there are some very creative ways that you can take that money and set yourself up with tax-free or tax-deferred income that you'll never outlive. You can turn it on anytime. So when I started mine 30 years ago, I thought, oh,
Mhm.
I'm going to do a stairway. And I did a bunch of equity index annuity. I did one at 62, 65, 67. So when I got to 62, I really didn't need it. So I just push it forward, which means I get more. Just like your Social Security. If you take it at your full retirement age, you get 100%. If you wait till you're 70, you're going to get 30% more. Your Social Security is a big annuity. It's
Mhm.
at 8% simple as far as I know. But the
Hmm.
point is that when you look at these chunks of money or even little money that you can contribute, there's some very, very solid creative ways that you can do that.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So basically what you're saying is, if it's matched, if the company matches 4%, you
Right,
just you put your 4% in there, and the
right.
remaining, say if you're doing 15%, the remaining 11% is going to be going into a self-directed, some kind of a retirement, or in like whole life, or what?
Whole life is not as good as index universal. So index
Okay.
universal life is sort of like the hybrid of whole life. So inside of the policies that I have are they include long-term care. They include catastrophic illness. They include building cash. And then they include tax-free income for life. Imagine that. It's a really good feeling. They actually did there's actually an article, gotta find who wrote it, out. It's an actual study that they found that people that had guaranteed incomes with equity index annuities live longer because they weren't stressed, right? They know that
Right.
money is coming
Right.
and that
Right.
stress is gone, and that's what causes disease. So setting up income streams, I'm not saying you got to put everything in there, but your
No.
401k is the stock market, it's the gamble. Realize
Yeah.
that. Don't be
Yeah.
scared of it, but just realize that you're gambling. Even the bitcoins and even the real estate, all of those things are volatile. They can go up and down. So
Yeah.
you want a
Yeah.
little chunk of that money to be safe and have a
Right.
floor on it so you catch the upside with all those benefits. So
Right.
my
Right.
favorite is the index universal life. It's underwritten, and you have to have good health for that, or average health. You can get it, but the point is, there's the equity index annuities. There's no underwriting, so it's not a one size fits all. Because creative planning, I have both. You could do
Right.
both, and I'm not in risk. I am out of the market. I've been out of it for 20 years basically because I don't like
Yeah.
losing money. I didn't like that in it,
No, no, no,
right?
no,
Worked so
definitely.
hard for
Definitely.
it. I mean, not
Yeah,
even
no,
five
no. It's like
dollars.
it's like when the market hit, the real estate market hit the peak, which was back in what, 2006, 2009,
Yeah,
okay?
right, right.
Seven,
Sure.
8, 9, or whatever.
7, 8, 9.
And it's funny because we bought our house in 1990, December of 1998, and it was in foreclosure. That was a recession back then, so it
Right.
was in foreclosure. We bought it, and we bought it for like $150,000. And at the peak of the recession, the appraisal came in at like $675,000. And we said, well, let's go ahead and let's look around and see, and it just, I was frustrated because you could not find what I liked, like what I had in my house now.
Right.
But what was the deciding point for me is, if we were going to upgrade, we would be upgrading property tax from $1,200 a year to almost $10,000 a year. And I said, why would we go into debt for the government, when we're
Yes.
perfectly fine in our house that we have now? Let's just renovate it and upgrade it.
Exactly.
No more than 2 weeks later, the market turned and everybody was upside down.
Right.
And, so my thoughts are, okay, I had someone looking out for us. He
That's
was
right.
looking over us, and,
Amen.
and stuff.
Amen. Right.
And that
Whew.
all comes down to,
Oh,
like we said, planning.
right.
Okay. Like you're saying, as far as the planning and everything, as a strategist, I'm all about planning and looking ahead. All right. And,
Exactly.
and, if you're going to be impulsive with your decision making, then you're just asking for trouble.
We spend our whole life working and
Yeah.
making money, which is just energy, right?
Right.
Because if it's really, and think about it, how many trillions of debt we're in. They're changing the money system on us.
Yeah.
They're tr- they're going to announce a digital coin. I think
Yeah.
they're going to start to control the Bitcoin
They're
scenario.
trying. They're
right? They're
trying.
trying,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
whatever, God knows what's going to happen with all that. But the point is that the shift, or the change in the currency, and global currency, global wealth, health, all of those things, that is the war between good and evil that's happening, right?
Yeah.
Is we have to be our own. We have to be proactive. We have to be our own. There's nobody that's going to come and help us, save the day. We have to pay attention and take time out to learn about it. It's not like, oh, you're going to go buy a stock. You're investing in that company that they're going to survive this
Yep.
recession.
Yep. Yep. That's
Whereas
exactly
the
it.
insurance company invests in you, hoping that you don't die. So it
Yep.
puts you in the power seat. Because
Yep.
imagine, you have your real estate, you have your four different investments, but you have something that will be there, that will pay for you. And I always
Mhm.
joke about insurance companies. Not that, every company's, what they are, but they've been around a long time. And I jokingly say this, but now I'm starting to believe it. They'll be the last to go before Jesus comes, kind of thing, right? Because there's I know it, because they have better ratings in the United States.
Yeah.
See, every $100 you have with them, and it's not like I'm selling insurance company. It's just there's not a lot of safe places to have your money, and I think we're in the scariest time on the planet. There's so much that hasn't even been unwrapped, and that's why my podcast is called Money 911, because it's like, come on, you guys, pay attention. Take
Yeah.
time out on your Sunday and learn about this. Read my book, or read about safe money, and just wrap your head around it so that you can be empowered to make the right decisions as you're going through this, because of what I said. This country is being shaken to its core, and
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
you've
And it's
got
not
to
just this, it's not just this country, it's the
know.
world.
That's
It's the
right.
world that's
That's right.
and speaking of the changes, the money processes and changes, the
Right.
reason that the digital currency, the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin have uh, caught on so much is because of the security that's involved in that. Okay.
Right.
It
Right.
can't be accessed by the banks. It can't be accessed by anyone except you.
Right.
Okay. Even the
Right.
government cannot access it.
But
Okay.
they don't
Now,
get their
I say that,
taxes.
I say that,
Yeah.
but
Right.
the government has its hands in everything.
They
So,
do.
but
Right.
and especially anybody, hackers or anything like that, I'm sure they can find some way of getting in, that kind
Well,
of stuff.
I actually had that experience, because I went against my own principles, because I don't
Yeah.
like risk. So I got into Bitcoin when it first started, seven, whatever years ago it was, a few years ago. I had one of those mines, a mine that
Yeah.
was making the Bitcoin. I
Oh,
had a
you
whole
had the
bit of,
mine, you
I
you
had
you
the mine.
actually mine
It, I
Bitcoin?
had actual mine in the very beginning. Guess what? It just disappeared. I cannot find it. And I had some money in there. Okay? It just disappeared. But look, it's on me. I violated what I know. Like, I don't like that experience. If I had a lot of extra money, I wanted to gamble. I don't like going, I don't even gamble if I go to
Yeah.
Vegas. I don't like that experience. But some
Yeah.
people do. That's okay. No judgment. Just have
Yeah.
a certain percentage of what you do safe. But it is a global change that is happening. It isn't just United States. And you can see in other countries, they're a little bit ahead of us of what they're going through, right? With the energy, with the food supply, all of those things are coming to us, right?
Yeah.
Unless, massive, people stand up and wake up and all that good stuff. But as no matter what happens, we have to be proactive and wake up and pay attention and learn about these things and take action, because it is
Yeah.
late. You don't want to wait. And procrastination is the biggest sin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we all do.
Yeah.
This is something that you're working hard for it, You want to pay attention how to get out of the taxes, how to never lose your principal,
Yeah,
how to create income, how to protect yourself from catastrophic illness, making sure you have your living trust, powers of attorney, guardianship, conservatorship, all of these things. When
I
you
know
have those things,
it seems depressing to be thinking about those things, but the fact of the matter is, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring,
that's
you
right.
know. And as you said, catastrophic, I'm sure a lot of these people during COVID were not planning on having their relatives or their loved ones or whatever get deathly ill,
No,
and pass
no,
away, so
right,
early.
right.
Um, so yes, and the whole the whole message with this whole podcast here is all about you taking back control, meaning you, me, everybody else taking back control and making wise decisions as far as our money is concerned, and making sure that we are diversified enough to whereas should the market take another leap like it did in the recession in 2003 through 13, 14, or COVID took off, right now, this recession, I don't know, I think it's going to be more inflation than anything. you know uh, I don't think it's going to hit the real estate market necessarily because we are so far behind in inventory and stuff like that. So I think the real estate market is still very strong right now. They got hit really bad back in 2006.
Right.
Okay.
It's coming in from a different angle. It's not the
It
real
is.
estate
It
crash.
is.
2008
It's
was based on the real estate, right? This is
Yeah,
coming in
yeah.
from
This
another
is
way.
coming in more from the inflationary side as far as products, consumer goods, and things like that.
Right.
And the price is just going up to where you can't afford things anymore. Gas prices, all of this,
Right. Right.
and so if you aren't prepared, go out and, grow a vegetable garden in the backyard, or,
Exactly. Right.
or something to
Ex-
that effect,
yeah.
plan, take
Right.
control and decide what you're going to do. If you're going
Exactly.
to get involved in the cryptocurrency market or the Bitcoin, the digital currency market, get some help. Don't just dive into it. Get
Right.
some expert help. My husband goes through courses on it, and that's how he, gets involved in it. But it
Right.
is just like the stock market. It's going to have its ups and downs. If you're going to panic every time it goes down, you're never going to get anywhere. It's like I
Right.
tell my clients, I said, if you're going to run your business based on your bank account, you're never going to get ahead.
That's right.
Okay. You've got to
Absolutely.
plan. You've got to
That's right.
plan, and you've got to
That's right.
figure out how am I going to make the sales that I need to make in order to move my business forward and scale it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it right there. I mean, if everybody could hear what you're saying, and that's why, I say healthy money, happy life.
Right.
Not that money is happiness, but when your money is healthy and it's not planted where gophers are going to eat it, it's going to
Right.
go away,
Right.
right? That it's just going to grow and bear fruit for you for
Right.
now and for later, then that gives you a happy life because you're not worrying. You're
You're
not
not,
worrying about it.
it's a happy life because you're not stressed.
That's it.
You're not stressed over it,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that goes for your personal lives as well as your
Yes.
business life. And what a lot of people don't realize is your personal and your business lives are so connected,
I'm so
so
glad you
connected.
said that. Dana, I'm so glad you said it because I found that there's so much emotion around money. I literally coach people on all of that more than writing applications in 32
Right.
years. And that I actually have that course of, creating income you'll never outlive. And a lot of it's mindset. So
Yeah.
people are scared to talk about, or scared to even, right? To think about it.
Yeah.
But if you go for what we're talking about, it's empowering. Then
Right.
you feel good about yourself because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
right. You're taking care of
That's
business.
exactly it.
Right.
Even those who are in debt, okay, who have been in debt and, it's pulling them down, there are ways that you can get out of debt,
That's
working
right.
with credit counselors, doing
Right.
things exactly the way that they say to do them. And,
That's right.
it's empowering. It might
Yeah.
be embarrassing to have to admit that you've gotten to that point, but we all go through it.
That's
Every one of
absolutely
us goes
right.
through it,
Right.
unless we were born with a silver spoon or something like that,
Right.
we all
Exactly.
go through that. And understanding that there is a process, there's a money process, that you go through to make sure that you don't get back into that situation and that you can get out of it. Another thing I tell my clients is if you're going to go into debt for your business, make sure that debt is going towards revenue generation.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
because you want to know that the money you're borrowing is going to make more money.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That is so important. And like you're saying, it there's a lot of emotion around, but when you it's like just taking control of it, then that
Right.
that lifts you above the emotion to where you're like
Yeah.
on top of it now.
Right.
You can actually manage debt. I've had clients with a lot of debt and they come in and you can negotiate it. You can call the companies and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
want to pay my bill, but I, can only pay $25
Yep.
instead of $100." And they'll work with you because the interest rates are so crazy high,
Yeah.
and you
And
don't want to do
that's exactly what a credit counselor is doing. Is they're
exactly.
making the calls for
Right.
you.
Yep.
They're making sure, and they're cutting
Right.
down your credit card debts to 30% of the total
Right.
balance, 30-40% of the total balance, and
Right.
and things like that, because they don't want to write it off if they can
Yeah.
avoid writing it off totally,
Exactly. Right.
so.
Right.
And the banks don't want your home and they don't want your cars, and stuff like that, because that's
Right.
more record keeping for them. So they'll
Right.
work with you, but you
Yes.
have to know how to negotiate that.
Right. And be aware, don't get caught in the credit card debt. Don't just start swooping
Yeah.
your card. Pay attention. I tell people to, do discretionary and non-discretionary, and you'll find a lot of money. If you
Yeah.
journal what you paid, right? You've done that, right? Well,
Yeah.
you journal what you're paying and doing for a few weeks or a month and do this, 2 columns, discretionary, non-discretionary. You'll
Right.
find a lot of money that you really don't need to, buy the
Yeah.
new shoes or go out to dinner or do all the different things because right now you got to pull it back in
Yeah.
and take the money that you have and get it safe or get it producing some income, even to keep up with inflation.
Yeah.
The money is dying,
Yep.
right? So
I
you
mean,
got to put
Social
a bottom on it.
Security just passed its first major increase in
Right.
benefit
How many
payouts. I think
years?
8 point something percent.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and that speaks to what inflation has been doing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's still not enough,
It's
but
not
we're coming
enough.
up on we're coming up on the end of another session here. And I'm really glad Kris has been here with us. It's been very entertaining and enlightening. Kris, any last minute tips for our listeners?
Well, being that we're in the season that we're in now, I really, besides taking the time out and learning about what we talked about, the safe money and the protection of assets, the 3 things I want you to really look at, creating income you'll never outlive, not having everything in the stock market, your right paperwork, and catastrophic illness, something that will help you get through, on a heart, from the heart, is gratitude. And you can't buy it in a store or anything,
No,
but that's
no,
what I use because these are rough times. There's a lot of mental bombardment. There's a lot of endurance to go through what we're
yeah,
having to go through in this
yeah,
transition we're in. So when I wake up in the morning, I thank God for 5 things. Think of 5 things I'm grateful for before I hit the ground, and I do it in the
being
morning.
above ground.
It being above ground, I'm breathing. About, I'm moving still.
Yes,
It
yes,
does something in the energy that, makes you a winner. and that gratitude allows you to give that joy to others too. So
That's true. That's true.
that's just a personal thing that helps me
Right.
get through a lot of stress, right?
Right. Right. So tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you should they need to
Well,
or
thank
want
you.
to.
Thank you for
Mhm.
that. I do what's called financial fitness strategy session. I'll literally hop on the phone with you for 20 minutes. You can, and just see if I can help you and find out about your business. I have a whole team of attorneys, planners, different people that are in my pocket that can help, different people in different places. If you have a big, small, family business, whatever it is, I do that. So financial fitness strategy, go to meetwithkrismiller.com. That's Kris Miller. That'll get you on my calendar. You can call my office 951-926-4158 or drop me an email at Kris at healthymoneyhappylife.com.
Oh,
And I
thank you, Kris. All of that information will be included in the transcripts once this session airs. And I really appreciate you joining us, Kris. A lot of good information that our listeners are going to want to pay attention to and reach out to you for.
fabulous.
So
It's been
thank you
really,
once again, Kris.
thank you so much. It's been such a joy. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to Charged Up Studio Live, the podcast with you, the small business owner, in mind, with your host, Dana Olivo. Join us every Tuesday as we bring you valuable tips and insights into many of the topics you don't know about growing a successful business. Please leave us a review on any of the streaming platforms you are listening to, or visit us on the YouTube or Facebook page and leave a review or subscribe so you don't miss another episode. You can also support us through Patreon by visiting our website, chargedupstudio.live, and click on the Patreon link. Until next week, go out and have a charged up week.